Hello, YouTube coin collectors and stackers. Today we're going to be looking at some simple tests to test if your Morgan silver dollars are real, are legitimate. What we're going to be testing today are the weight. The weight is the number one way you can see if a coin is in fact real or fake. It's very hard for counterfeiters to use base metals like copper and have it be the same size and dimensions as a Morgan dollar and have it weigh the same. So having a nice scale, the $20 scale, is a great way to go. Another easy test is a magnet, although most of the fakes don't stick to a magnet, many do. Then we also have a ping tester. This is a wonderful tool that we can use to test the sound that it makes when we ping it. A set of calipers to see if the dimensions are right. And if you can afford it, not everybody can afford it, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit, would be one of these Sigma Analytics machines. So obviously many people can't afford these unless you're a dealer. You're not going to have one of these. But we're going to look at that first. And now how do we know what we're actually testing for? How do we know what things should weigh and what they should be? So I couldn't find my 2025, but here's a 2024. The information is the same, but if you're into coins and coin collecting, you need to get yourself a red book so that you can look things like this up. So in the case of the Morgan, what we're going to see here is it's supposed to weigh 26.73 grams. Now my scale is going to round that up to 26.8. It's 90% silver, 10% copper, for a net weight of 0.77344 ounces of pure silver. And the diameter is 38.1. And then you have the different mints where it was made. So it was made in Philadelphia, New Orleans, Carson City, which is the one everyone's looking for, and a lot of the fakes are from Carson City, Denver, which was only 1 year, 1921, and San Francisco. So this is how we know what to look for. So let's start first with just, like I said, a basic test. So the most basic test you can do would be to use some sort of a magnet. So what you see over here is my little doctor kit. When I go out and buy collections from people, I show up with my little doctor kit, and it's got all these tools in it. So the first one would be a magnet. So we have some Morgan dollars over here. And let me move this over so we can see them all. I'm going to zoom out one, so bear with me. And there we go. I'll get them all in the frame here. So if you can see them down here, we have this 1882 Carson City, this 1895, I think it's a San Francisco, this 1887, and down here we have just your common, I'll push it up a little bit, common 1921 Philly. So first test we're going to do, we're going to take this magnet and we're going to touch them and see if they stick. Nope, so far so good. They all look like they're good. Now you can have any kind of magnet. It really doesn't matter. Any magnet will do. Here's another magnet just off of a refrigerator. That would work as well. So the next test we like to do with this would be to weigh them. So if we remember from the book, 26.73, we can round it up to 26.8. For government work here today, we'll zoom in on the scale and we'll take the first one here, which is this 1921. Kind of AU, very common Morgan dollar. We'll throw it on the scale. 26.7, rounded up to 8. So that's right in the ballpark of where it should be. Now let's go with this next one here, which it looks a little funny, and I'll tell you why after we weigh it. But this is an 1887. You can see I wrote copy on it. I also, by the way, decided to clean one side of it, because a lot of the times what these counterfeiters will do is they'll artificially tone their fake coins with smoke and other things, literally blow cigarette smoke on them. So when you take it off and you kind of look at it and you go, wow, you can really see how fake it is once you start to remove the smoke. So I kind of did I guess you'd call it a two-phase treatment on this one, or I left half of it the way it came from the factory in China and half of it after it was clean. But let's go ahead and weigh this one. Wow, 23.4. So that is way off. So that's, as soon as you did that, you would know that that one was fake. Let's take the next one up here. So this next one is a 1895 S. So that's a pretty good date, an 1895 S. That's a pretty good date. That's a good one to fake. If we look at the coin, looks pretty good. It's got that nice kind of natural looking smoky toning on it. If you're just looking at this real quick, it would pass. And let's throw it on the scale. 21.7. That one's even lighter. So you're going to see a lot of fakes with these better dates, like this 1895S. And the last one here is a more common date. It's an 1882, and we can see how flat this looks, just kind of holding it up to the light. It's very, very flatly struck. It just looks odd when you look at it. There's no cartwheel or anything on it. And if we flip it over here, we can see that this one is a Carson City. You see the CC down there under the wreath and above dollar. Let's throw this 1882 Carson City. Not a rare Carson City in a a nice grade like a 64 or something. It's like, let's just say it's a $350 to $400 coin. And again, this one is also 21.7. Now, it's not against the law for them to have or make these phony coins, but they are supposed to stamp them, like this one, that says fake copy. That's what they're supposed to do. Or this one here, which is a proof, where it says that it's a copy down there. And this is 1889 Carson City. So this coin, like in this kind of condition, like deep cameo, this is a well into the 5-figure coins. Let's just say if this was real, I mean, it looks fake. You can just tell how bad it looks. But if this was real, this 1889 Carson City with this deep cameo strike like this, we're talking probably $100,000 coin plus. But this one says copy on it, so we know it's fake, and that's what they're supposed to do. That's a crazy key date for a Carson City, the 1889 CC. So another test we could do, if I zoom back out, would be the caliper test. And I already did the caliper test on all of these. It's supposed to be 38.1, and we take the caliper here, and we can see here that it's just down below 40 there, and that is right at the 38. And these all were exactly the same. So in this case, the caliper test wouldn't have done us any good. But sometimes what they'll do in order to get the weight to where it needs to be, right, to fatten this one up, if we would put that one back on the scale, if we're going to fatten that one up, we might make it a little bit wider. We might make it a little bit thicker to get the weight up to where it's supposed to be. So the calipers can come in handy there. These are all the right size, and so it's not going to do very well. The next thing that we can do, of course, is, and if you've seen this is an awesome tool. I use this tool not exclusively. I mean, I like to do more than one test on things anyway, which is why I bring all this stuff out with me. But this tool I use for a long time as a primary test. You can download the app. But what you do is you take the coin, you stick it in here between these two rubber feet, and I'll put it over by the microphone so you can hear it, and you give it a ping. And silver has a very, you can hear it there, very distinct sound. And if you listen to it enough, you'll be able to figure that out. And in the old days, when someone would pay, they would literally, the cashier would just drop it onto the counter to make sure it made that silver sound. As opposed to, you can hear the difference, right? So if you remember the ping, we'll do this ping again so it's fresh in your ear and fresh in your mind. And do one more time. There we go. Okay, so that's what silver's supposed to sound like on a Morgan dollar. If we go to the first phony here, much higher pitch. You can hear that. It's almost like a full octave up. And the next one would be the same, because different metals resonate at different frequencies. That one's very dull. It's got a very dull, it kind of rings and then it fades out really fast, where silver holds and holds and holds. Gold even holds for longer. When you ping gold, it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And this last one, this 1883 Carson City, again, it's too high, it's too short, and it's over really fast. So the pocket pinger, which you can pick up online, is a very, very affordable way. I think these are like 30, 35 bucks. If this saves you from buying one bad Morgan dollar, it would have been worth the investment. And I still use it at times. So let's move over to a more sophisticated machine. We'll just turn this off. We'll get these guys out of the way. And you guys can enjoy my classic spring 1977 Bowers and Ruddy catalog. I actually collect these old catalogs, which I think they're super cool. And let's bring over the Sigma Metalytics machine here. Let's turn it on. And I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can get a closer look. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit the Run Calc button. And it's calibrating. So let's zoom back out. And let's take the first one, this 1921, the one we know is real, and let's go ahead and put it on there. And if I zoom back in, we can see that the little square is between the brackets. So that one is good. If we go and take the next one, which is this 1887, the one that I cleaned half of it off so you could see how they fake toned it, which is really interesting. And then I wrote copy on the back. Way off. See the arrow right here? Way off to the right. So that one is obviously bad. This one here, again, this really kind of tough date, 1895, San Francisco. It's a good looking fake. It really is. If you take a look at it, it looks pretty legit the way that they did it. It struck up pretty well. And I'll show you the one final way we can look at some things as well. You see that arrow's off to the right as well. And here's this Carson City. And I think we're going to see the same thing, and we do. Now, here's what's interesting. Let's say that you have a very desirable date like this, and they can make it look this good, which it looks pretty good. And so you go, okay, well, obviously it's fake metal. It doesn't weigh right. But let's say for giggles that they were to melt down this one. This one's a real 1921. Let's say they melted this down, or melted a bunch of these down, and then they struck up a bunch of these using that same metal. And this is where the loop comes in handy, and why I always recommend you have a loop. And I don't know if we can see that here through my, let's see if we can do it here. No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, here we go. So if we come in on the loop, what you want to start to look for is fuzzy devices, fuzzy letters, anything that looks kind of off and weird where the detail just isn't there. And you're going to look for pimpling, and if I could zoom in more I'd show you, but that's what you're really looking for, pimpling and dimpling and the kind of things where it's cast instead of struck. And that becomes very obvious when you start getting it under magnification. And you can see a little bit of it there. You can see sort of these pimples and dimples. Another thing you can look for is spikes coming out of the dentals over here. That's another indication. And typically, when these are done really well, they're going to take a real 1895S, and they're going to make an impression of it, and they're going to make a mold, and they're going to make a die from it. And they'll strike up a whole bunch of these, and they might look really great. But you see these scratches and indentations and stuff that we see here? There's a lot of, you can see the dimpling and pimpling on the forehead. But these... All of these coins that are struck from this die are going to have all these same marks on them. So as soon as they figure that out, it'll go in the counterfeit books, and they'll be like, okay, well, if it's got this pattern with the slash next to the nose and those slashes on the cheek, then we know that that one is made from this die and they're fake. And you can see really pimpling on the nose. She's got like a big old zit on her nose. And that's really much more advanced than what we're looking for here. Now, most counterfeiters simply aren't that advanced. They're getting better. It's a cat and mouse game. It always is. But most counterfeiters simply aren't advanced enough to do that in the right metal and get it all correct and weighing right and the right dimensions and all of that. Certainly there are more and more out there that are doing it. But for your basic stuff floating around at the flea market and so forth, if you're walking around the flea market, this is a great tool. You get download the app, get the pocket pinger, and you can just ping it, and it'll listen to the sound, and it'll tell you if at least it's the real metal. Now, anything that's really key datey, I was in a coin shop locally here, a couple weeks ago, and a dude walked in with not one, not two, but 3 1893S Morgan dollars in mint condition. I'm talking like mint state 65. Well, that's like a $2 million coin if that's real, and this guy walks in with 3 of them. So, obviously, that's a major red flag. But, when you're looking at coins like that, whether it's an 1893S Morgan, a 1909 SVDB, obviously a fake one, but I kind of keep it here as a prop, your 1916 Denver Mercury dime, and a whole bunch of other key dates, a 1914 Denver Lincoln cent. A lot of these are highly faked. A 42/41 mercury dime would be another one that's, highly altered and faked. It's always best, if you don't know what you're looking for as far as diagnostics, to buy them in a holder. And one of the things I always take out to my clients is common coins that we see holdered. And here's just a common 1882 and an MS64 with some nice toning on it. And the reason I would bring this out, now this, you talk about the magnet test, here's the only US coin that should actually stick to a magnet, and it's a steel penny. So it's a good way to kind of hunt penny rolls for steel cents, is to just run a magnet over it and see if any pop out. But I always carry these around to show people, what holders are. A lot of people are unaware of grading and holders. I also bring these out in order to show my clients, if they have a bunch of cruddy, these are half dollars, but I've seen people bust out Morgan dollars and piece dollars and walkers and things that look like this, and they think they're worth, $50 each. And so I always take this out and say, no. If it was in a holder like this, in this MS64, this guy right here is probably worth $130, $140. And they're like, oh, kind of resets their expectation, because a lot of people just think because it's old, it's worth money. But circling back to our test here today, we don't need to go out. You don't need to go out and get, an $1,100 Metalytics machine. Your basic tests include magnet, super easy if it sticks to the magnet. Unless it's that 43 Steely, then it's fake. You got your ping tester, super cheap, super useful with the app. And the most important test of all is the good old-fashioned scale, because most fakes just don't weigh right. And that's the way you're going to catch the vast majority of them, is simply weighing them on a $20 scale. So leave some comments down below if you've been caught with a counterfeit. I'll put a link down below to a counterfeit trade dollar that I sent into PCGS and came back counterfeit. Everybody gets caught at it. Some of these counterfeits are really good. Thanks as always, guys, for watching. Have a wonderful day and happy collecting.